I want to thank everyone with the Greater Houston Partnership for your not just current work, but historically, this has been one of those organizations that has not only given us good ideas, which we've worked on to make this state even a stronger place to live and make job creation the real center focus of our state, but also working with us in Austin as well to make those ideas and bring those ideas to fruition, both statutorily and constitutionally and otherwise. So, Mr. Weekly, as an aside to you and Texans for Lawsuit Reform, I'll speak about this in a little broader scope in my remarks, but thank you for the work that you all have done, the focus and the discipline and the success. Part of the reason Texas finds itself at the juncture that it does is because of the work that Texans for Lawsuit Reform, their focus, their work, and at the end of the day, the product. Everyone that's here today, thank you for taking away from busy schedules and understanding that an idea whose time has come in the concept of loser pay, a component of our legal system that should be in our statutes. As we all know, we're in the midst of a tough legislative session. We're thoughtfully working our way through a budgetary process, balancing a budget, maintaining the economic momentum that we've created in the state that has been the envy of the nation over the last decade. Texas' mix of low taxes and fair and predictable regulatory climate, our legal system, it has made Texas a national destination now. Matter of fact, the #1 national destination for employers through the better part of this entire decade. With loser pay, we have the opportunity to make Texas' economic climate be even more job friendly, as well as a chance to relieve Texans of the burdens created by these long-running lawsuits. These lawsuits may be frivolous, but the cost are certainly not. And the damage that they cause is felt by everyone, not just the business owners. The cost of lengthy court battles are passed along to consumers, and the price that you pay in insurance premiums, the price of durable goods, the price of food. The costs also lead to longer unemployment lines, missed opportunities for our entrepreneurs, as the threat of a lawsuit can dissuade some from pursuing their dream of owning their own business. And since I called on the legislature to pass loser pays, we've heard from some of the same old naysayers that you heard in 2003, Dick, who insisted that the medical tort reforms we passed that year were a bad idea. At that time, the plaintiffs had declared open season on doctors. Number of frivolous lawsuits were skyrocketing. Doctors in Texas were facing a crisis as insurance companies either were raising their rates prohibitively or they just simply quit insuring Texas doctors altogether. Doctors were faced with the difficult decisions of either leaving Texas or leaving medicine altogether. That session, we placed a cap on non-economic damages, and the results were positive, and I might say instantaneous. Our insurance rates were cut immediately, many of them by double digits. Not only did doctors stop leaving Texas, they started flowing back into this state at unprecedented rates. We saw physicians come back into Texas at, well, I would put it at phenomenal rates. 14,000 doctors in 1 year came back, or one period of time, more doctors in 2007 than there were in 2003. 14,000 doctors who either for the first time were practicing medicine in the state of Texas or had come back into the practice. What that meant was there were people across this state that didn't have access to health care, that were again having access. Pregnant females along the Rio Grande River in those counties were having access to OBGYNs. South Texas had a physician, a specialist, a neurosurgeon to be able to take care of a closed head injury for a child that was hurt in the Rio Grande Valley. That's what this piece of legislation did. It was about access, so that the people of the state of Texas would have the opportunity to have access to doctors. Those lawsuits, particularly these frivolous ones that we're seeing nowadays, they can grind almost any business to a halt. Owners are forced to deal with mounting legal fees, court costs, and they haven't done anything wrong. I mean, that's the staggering thing for me. Texas is one of the few states in the nation that doesn't allow for an early dismissal of a clearly frivolous lawsuit. And we absolutely should. And we need to make it clear that this statute doesn't create a cause of action unless the legislature specifically says it does. I think that's a very important message to those in the legal profession and in the legislature that unless a statute clearly says that there is a cause of action created, that everyone has a right to know if their behavior would subject them to a lawsuit. So statutorily, we need to clearly show what the cause of actions are. And lastly, we need to set up expedited trials and limited recovery for those lawsuits and their claims between $10,000 and $100,000, what we would refer to as relatively small suits. And a lot of the hard work's already been done, thank goodness, because we've got two great individuals and Representative Creighton and Senator Huffman. They're carrying the banner of two pieces of legislation. Brandon's is House Bill 274, and I think, Joan, yours is Senate Bill 13. And I'm really looking forward to working with them. These are two hard-working individuals, and they and their colleagues are going to make sure that this much-needed law becomes statute. It becomes on our legal books. I know there are governors from around the country that are sure hoping that doesn't happen, though. I guarantee you, Mary Fallin and our neighboring governors are probably wishing that we wouldn't pass that, because they know that if we do pass loser pay, there's going to be a steady exodus of their employers to the state of Texas. Those governors are going to have to be working even harder than they're already working to try to lure businesses out of the state of Texas. And we pass loser pay, and I'll guarantee you Texas will become the Mecca, the state that people are going to want to go and create their business and live and raise their family. And I want to say thank you to both of these legislators again, and to the lawsuit abuse advocates that are here. Chip, I know you're going to speak here in a few minutes, and we're going to get to hear firsthand how businesses are being impacted. And everyone here today, again, let me say thank you for your commitment to making a difference on this issue that I think can put Texas, we're already out in front of the pack. This will allow us to run away. And there'll be they'll be hard for us to be seen. We're so far ahead of the other states, I will suggest. And I'm going to ask Representative Creighton if he can tell us just a little bit more about his efforts over on the House side. Brandon? Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
It's good to be with you. Thank you, Governor Perry, for your leadership and for speaking out on this issue and for the introduction. I want to recognize the Greater Houston Partnership as well for all of your hard work. I was here a few weeks ago to talk about some of the budget updates and to answer questions, and it was great to be with you then. Good to be with you now. The Greater Houston Partnership and all you do for Houston and the region is widely noted. Recently, City of Houston was named Best City to Earn a Living by Forbes magazine and Most Business Friendly by FDI magazine. A lot of what you do on a daily basis, it shows not just in the region but across Texas. With your help and the business leadership behind this, with elected officials like Senator Huffman, Governor Perry, we can all work together to ensure continued success for Houston, but also for the state of Texas as a whole. Economists agree that just under half of all the frivolous lawsuits that are filed are targeted against small businesses. Small businesses are the heartbeat of Texas because Texas families work hard to keep those small businesses' doors open on a daily basis. That's why we're here today to support important tort reform legislation that will reduce frivolous lawsuits and decrease litigation costs for Texans. One thing we know, lawsuit reform works. Nothing underscores this more than the medical reform liability changes that were enacted in 2003 with the leadership of the legislature and with Governor Perry's leadership as well. But at almost a decade later, now is the time to take the next step in tort reform, where we can clamp down on frivolous lawsuits by introducing a loser pay provision into state law, as the governor articulated very well. This would allow for a more fair two-way street where the plaintiff or the defendant would pay the legal fees of the other party depending on who loses the suit. Texas currently, as all of you know, has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation. We have a very strong and vibrant and well-documented business climate, and we're in a tie for being home to the most Fortune 500 companies in the nation. Ensuring businesses and medical professionals are protected from the cost of defending themselves against junk lawsuits will further strengthen our economy in a national economic climate where we all know, first and foremost, it's all about jobs. All Texans should be able to have their day in court without a doubt. No one is here to say anything but that right must be balanced against the responsibility of bringing a reasonable legal claim. Frivolous lawsuits allow for a gaming of the system. This brings unnecessary costs and delays. The Manhattan Institute found that almost every economist who had studied loser pay predicted that if adopted, that suits without merit would be reduced. Loser pay provisions will reduce liability insurance costs and reduce court backlogs. At its core, it's a simple matter of fairness. Blameless individuals or employers should not be forced to spend thousands of dollars in legal fees to eventually win a groundless suit, or more importantly, to settle a case that was always without merit just to avoid the high cost of litigation or delay. So enacting a loser pay statute is the next logical step in Texas's lawsuit reform agenda. It's a goal that is at the top of my list in the House, and I look forward to pursuing this effort through this session for continued progress. And at this time, with that being said, it's my honor to introduce Senator Joan Huffman, who I have much respect for, a former state district judge and distinguished prosecutor, someone we're very fortunate to have in the Senate and who will also be the author of this bill. Thank you very much.
Hi, glad to be here, and thanks. Good morning. Thanks to the partnership for hosting us today. I agree, of course, with everything that the representative said, and you know, my background is criminal justice. You've heard I was a prosecutor, and former criminal district court judge. And in the criminal justice system, it's all about fairness, and we worry about being fair, as we should. And I think that the civil justice system should be the same. It should be about fairness. So Senate Bill 13, which is not the exact same bill as the House bill, but I think that Representative Creighton and I are going to try to champion this thing through and work out the logistics and the bill so that it can work and we can get it out of the legislature. But it is designed to guard against frivolous civil litigation in Texas. We want to improve the civil justice system, and we want to make that system more accessible to all of the parties. I agree with the governor and with Creighton that tort reform has improved the legal climate in our state, and those reforms will impart even more energy, stability, and security in our economy. So I look forward to working with these parties as we try to enhance our civil justice system. As I said, SB 13 is a little different than the House bill, but similar in many ways in that it creates a fast track, allowing plaintiffs to take advantage of a prompt, efficient, and cost-effective way to settle claims between $10,000 and $100,000. And the Senate bill also has an offer of settlement part to it, which I like to call unreasonable party pays, which I think is a very fair way of encouraging early settlements. It encourages defendants to make an early, realistic, and fair settlement offer, while plaintiffs are discouraged from making frivolous and unrealistic demands. So I think as we work together and we move forward that we will come up with a great bill that we can bring all the parties together, and it will make Texas an even better and stronger place than it is now. I'm now pleased to introduce a Texan who's been victimized by abusive litigation, Mr. Chip Huff of Basic Industries Limited. Mr. Huff? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Chip Huff. I'm the owner of Basic Industries. We're an industrial, commercial, maintenance, and new construction business. We have offices in Corpus Christi, San Antonio, and the Dallas-Fort Worth marketplace. I got involved with Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse over 15 years ago because lawsuit abuse not only affects my business and me personally, but with over 500 employees, and as Representative Creighton mentioned, the families. If you consider 500 employees, the mouths involved in that is probably over 2,000 people involved in the families that lawsuit abuse affects, just with lawsuit abuse within my own company. The lawsuit abuse, the Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse movement began here in Texas over 20 years ago. And after lawsuit abuse started weakening, the local economies undermined our state's business climate, and it made it difficult for employers like myself to create jobs. And citizens and businesses combined said, enough is enough. We were all tired of it, and now more than 25,000 members strong in Texas, Kayla's work to shine the spotlight on people who abuse the courts and empower Texans to be smart legal consumers. Today we're here to talk about junk lawsuits and how to keep them from burdening our courts. I could talk for more time than any of you care for about how lawsuits have been a issue in my company, but very specifically, I've been involved in many lawsuits and have had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight and defend and do the research, and in every one of those cases, eventually be dismissed from the lawsuits. Those are dollars that could have gone to create jobs, do training, improve benefits in my company. But just because we have a business in Nueces County, and sometimes Nueces County is deemed to be a plaintiff-friendly environment, that those lawsuits are filed against and named me and hundreds of other companies that had no business being involved in those lawsuits. And then after that, that lawsuit is based in Nueces County for over a year, then the venue is set and they proceed with their case and they let me out. In the meantime, I've had to spend thousands of dollars to get myself out of those types of cases. I think loser pays and other legal reforms that we've been working on over the years will help keep junk lawsuits out of the courts and improve access to the courts. These reforms aren't saying, let's eliminate lawsuits. They're just saying, let's make the plaintiffs' attorneys do their homework, file a good case against the people that belong in the dispute, not just cast a wide net and scoop up everybody involved or could be involved. In closing, I'd like to thank Governor Perry for his leadership and strong support in the legal reforms that we've taken over the last 2 decades. And I'd also like to thank Representative Crichton and Senator Huffman for their work in specifically this bill and the work they do in Austin for us every day. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.